Good afternoon. Welcome to Paul's Point of View. This is Chapter 2 of the Trump Conversations, entitled Sherry Was Harry. I sat sipping a strong mug of coffee, perfectly mixed with cream and raw sugar. Strong coffee, its color hardly blunted by the heavy cream. Heaven. Cutler Harbor, Maine, still oozed tendrils of mist in the mid-morning sun, and the lobster boats played hide and seek through the mist with me at the whim of a light, salty breeze. Larry and Harry, two gay boys from Maine whom I'd met in Calgary 45 years back, were my hosts. They were nattering away in the kitchen as they prepared breakfast. It would be nothing short of a feast, a gourmet delight. I knew this from experience. Larry and Harry had strong ties to the Kennedys and were livid, apoplectic over Trump putting his name on the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts and the head of John's name to boot. Adam, surely you don't agree with him putting his name on the Kennedy Center, do you? Larry had asked last night over drinks. No, I don't. I knew he was just poking Dems in the eye. Thought he should have waited until after the midterms, and was certain he knew his name would be removed the moment a new president from either party was elected. And it was offensive to the memory of John Kennedy, I felt. That no-class motherfucker should be shot and pissed on, Harry responded. How are the Kennedys taking it? I asked. They're starting to think assassination's a good thing, Larry replied. I laughed at that and said, they'll have to take a number. Larry and Harry smiled at the comment and looked at each other. I wondered if they were really smiling at my comeback or at the thought of someone assassinating Trump. Looking at Harry, I reflected on how little his beauty had waned over the years since I'd met him in a bar in Calgary. My friend Al and I had headed out there after finding the ladies on my friend Al and I had headed there after finding the ladies a little thin on the ground at the first two stops. Come on, Al had said. I know this place. So off we went. The place was packed. Good band, rocking dance floor, girls everywhere. Larry and Sherry had the only two seats available in the place. I asked if we could sit, and they waved us in. We'd conversed about the band, shared some nachos, nattered about the Americans taking all their oil rigs south, and quaffed a few B-52s over the next hour and a half. I couldn't hear much over the band, and Al kept on the prowl, popping in and out. I kept ordering rounds and finally screwed up the courage to ask Sherry to dance. Al kept pointing out other female options to me as the night progressed, but I wasn't interested. In fact, he was beginning to irritate me. I couldn't figure out why he kept pointing out options to me when I had one in the bag. Finally, after a slow waltz, Sherry had smelled divine. Larry and Sherry went to the bathroom, and Alex finally got a chance to bend my ear. Adam, he said, do you not see it? See what? I've been trying to tell you for an hour that chick is a guy. No fucking way, I sputtered. Yes way, he replied. Take a closer look at her when she comes back from the bathroom. She's a beauty, but look underneath all that makeup. You'll see. Just then, Larry and Sherry returned, and suddenly sobered by Al's words, I took a harder look. Sure enough, artfully concealed beneath her makeup was a 5 o'clock shadow, and the Adam's apple somehow finally caught my attention. Fuck, I groaned. I looked at Al, who was doubled over in paroxysms of laughter, and put my face in my hands. Looking over, Sherry's obvious chagrin sealed it. Sherry was Harry, or Harry. Ugh. Long blonde hair, perfect butt, gorgeous silicone breasts, and a fucking penis. Somehow, Harry apologizing profusely for leading me on had convinced me that she was so enjoying the fact that I found her attractive, and I admit there was a chemistry there, that she couldn't bring herself to tell me. 45 years later, and her and Larry and I were fast friends. Al was still getting laughs at parties at my expense. Adam, come and eat, said Harry, ending my stroll down memory lane. Reluctantly, I pulled myself away from the harbor vista laid out below their deck, but not too reluctantly. I knew a feast awaited. Dry smoked wild Atlantic salmon chunks and a fresh lobster salad awaited, along with fresh strawberries and raspberries drowning in heavy cream. The salmon was perfectly smoked and literally melted in my mouth. A jug of chilled mimosa provided the perfect pairing. Heaven. Larry waded in right as Harry poured a round of mimosas. We all loved talking politics over any meal. Do you think Putin has the goods on Trump, Adam? I put up my finger as I savored the deliciously cold orange juice and champagne, buying time to formulate a response. For I did think something was amiss in the way Trump generally favored Putin. Yes, I replied, as I set my drink down and speared a chunk of salmon. I've never been pleased with his kowtowing to Putin, and I have no better word to describe it. He kowtows. Harry replied while I ate. Do you think they have a P tape or some such? Maria says Putin must have caught Trump fucking a goat. Harry, said Larry, you never told me she said that. She just said it the other night over drinks with a bunch of us, said Harry. She cracked the place up. Larry was grinning delightedly. Sorry I missed that, he said ruefully. I laughed along with them, wishing I'd heard Maria make the comment in the flesh. And the mental image of Trump goat mounting tickled my funny bone even more. A meme in the making. We all took time out to savor gourmet seafood in silence. Then I replied, I don't think it's a goat or a pea. I said, but he does have something, I'm certain of it. I think it's something or things he said during his visits to Russia before politics. Or maybe an orgy tape. Hard to say. I will say that if Putin does have the goods, unless it's impeachable, Trump is going to begin taking stronger positions against Russia soon. Sherry and Larry looked at each other over their drinks. Why? They asked in unison. Because Trump is in his last term. So unless Putin has something that could get him jailed, he's going to bust out all over Putin soon. I'm betting right after the midterms. I think he'll do what he can to hold Congress and the Senate, but after that, he'll move on to Putin. He'll move on Putin no matter what he has on. He's already started. Seizing that Russian-flagged oil tanker is a proof of that, as is greenlighting the Russian sanctions bill. Suddenly, my phone rang out a text notification. I had been waiting for the text and eagerly picked up the phone. It was on. I'd be presiding over the sale of an investment property nearby to its new owner and raking in a $50,000 U.S. commission. I am an investment property broker. Good news. Asked Larry. I'm 50 G's richer, I replied, grinning. We should charge you for food and lodging, said Sherry. You want me to pay for food and lodging? Or do you want your $5,000 referral fee? I asked, deadpan. Enjoy your lobster salad, said Larry. As I drove towards the New Brunswick border later that day, it suddenly occurred to me that Sherry and Larry had been a couple at least since I'd met them in that Calgary bar 45 years earlier. A few years back, I'd asked them just what the hell they were doing in Calgary, Alberta, during one of the coldest winters on record. Larry confessed that the U.S. State Department had sent them in to help create opposition to Trudeau's National Energy Policy, NEP. Sherry laughed at that, saying it was one of the easiest gigs they'd ever done for state. True that. You couldn't find one person in all of Alberta at that time who supported the NEP, not openly anyway. Then another thought occurred to me. Larry must have been in on Sherry's drag show that night in Calgary. What the hell had his plan been for me in the event I landed back at their hotel room with him and Sherry anyway? Before I asked, I'd better be sure I wanted to hear the answer, I decided. Those fucking guys. That's all I got to say about that.